The June area in the NFL is usually a dead area where there's very little to talk about, and with COVID impacting all of us the way it has, it's especially true. But recently, Jets All-Pro safety Jamal Adams has requested a trade, and he even gave the Jets 7 teams that he would welcome a trade to, and those teams are the Ravens, the Cowboys, the Texans, the Chiefs, the Eagles, the 49ers, and the Seahawks. Now, just because Jamal Adams requested one of these 7 teams doesn't mean he will for sure be traded to one of these teams. The NFL is a business, and the Jets have to do what's best for them. In today's video, we will discuss where Jamal Adams could go and the likelihood of him going to any of these teams and why or why not he will or won't go there. But before we get started, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now let's begin. Now, before any team gets their hopes up of whether or not they can add an all-pro safety, we need to be realistic about this. Jamal, and rightfully so, will demand a very large contract. For teams like the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs, who not only have phenomenal quarterbacks in Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, they have other great players on their roster, and they, in their own rights, deserve to be highly compensated. I am talking about players like Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones on the Chiefs, and Marlon Humphrey, Earl Thomas, Marcus Peters, and Ronnie Stanley on the Ravens. Some of these players I just mentioned, like Mahomes on the Chiefs, and like Jackson, Humphrey, and Stanley on the Ravens, haven't been paid yet, and as nice as Jamal Adams would be to add on these teams, it's simply not realistic at this point in time. And if it is, it's a one-year rental, because Adams will certainly want a long-term contract that he has more than earned over his first 3 years in the NFL. The Jets, keep in mind, aren't exactly going to say to these teams, hey, I know you're going for a Super Bowl title, we will help you out, here's Jamal for a 6th round pick. Absolutely not. The Jets will, and rightfully so, command at least 2 first-round picks for Adams. Jamal is 24 years old, a 2-time Pro Bowler, a 1-time first-team All-Pro player. He has expressed he wants out, and the Jets certainly won't give anyone a discount on the best player on their roster. And with that being said, this severely limits who Jamal Adams can be traded to. Not that the Ravens or Chiefs wouldn't want a player of his caliber on their team, or any team for that matter, but the NFL isn't the MLB where teams will give up multiple double or triple A prospects for a player that will help them that year for a World Series championship and then leave them in free agency just 5 months after being traded to that team. The NFL has no farm system, and there's a reason we don't see huge players get traded that often for a 1-year postseason run in hopes of that team getting a Super Bowl title. Before I go further, you could argue the Seahawks traded a 3rd round pick for Jadeveon Clowney this past year, and while they did do that, Clowney is now a free agent and who knows where he's going. He hasn't re-signed with Seattle yet, and who knows what he's going to do. My point is, we will, barring something insane, not see Baltimore or Kansas City specifically trade for Jamal. I think those 2 teams on Jamal's list are eliminated right away due to that. Now, taking a look at the Cowboys and what they could offer for Jamal Adams is quite a lot. They have all of their draft picks going forward, and as we know, Jerry Jones isn't afraid to make a move or be gutsy to push for a championship. And while I was recording this video, a video came out of a fan asking Jamal if he was coming to Dallas, which Jamal replied, "I'm trying, bro." But sorry to burst Dallas's fans' bubbles, but I don't think there's any way he gets traded here. Remember, this is a team that has paid Zeke Elliott, Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, Amari Cooper, and DeMarcus Lawrence. They had to let Byron Jones walk this past free agency in hopes that Dak Prescott re-signs long-term with them. Sacrificing multiple first-round picks for a rental isn't an option for them, and that's not the route they are looking to go. Would it be a great addition for them? Yes, absolutely. For them and any team for that matter, it's just not a realistic one at this particular point in time. Had Dallas paid Dak instead of Zeke and been giving Zeke a franchise tag type deal till the running back's shelf life is over, we would be talking about something completely different. But Jerry Jones, I am sure at this point in time, does not want to give up multiple first-round picks for a safety who at most plays 16 or even 32 games for his franchise. I think for the Cowboys to pursue Adams, they would have to trade a big-name player they already have, like Amari, for example, and again, I don't think that's a route they want to go through. Jamal, as we saw in the video, wants to go to Dallas, but I really, barring something insane, don't think it's a realistic suitor for his services for the next couple of years. And now we take a look at a team like the Houston Texans and what they have to offer. Houston, as we know, is another team on Jamal's list, and what a lot of people will have to realize about this is Jamal's contract is with the Jets, so if they want to hypothetically trade him to New England, they will. It's as simple as that, and Jamal at the end of the day doesn't have a say where he will or won't go when general manager Joe Douglas makes this decision. And with that being said, the Texans traded their 2020 and 2021 first-round picks to the Dolphins for tackle Laramie Tunsil, and while Tunsil is a great player in himself, that limits what they can offer. We have seen Bill O'Brien negotiate trades based on the DeAndre Hopkins one, and there's almost nothing he can offer outside of Deshaun Watson that would entice the Jets to make a deal. He doesn't have a first-round pick until 2022, and the Jets wouldn't want to wait until then to get a 2022 first and second, or a 2022 first and a 2023 first. It's just not a reality in trading in the NFL. I don't think the Texans are a realistic team for Jamal to be traded due to this. Joe Douglas, in my opinion at least, is a good general manager, and as we have said, he won't settle for this when it comes to acquiring assets in return for Jamal. The Texans, due to already have sent next year's first to Miami, are out on the Jamal Adams sweepstakes. And now we go to the San Francisco 49ers, who are another one of Jamal's teams he would like to get traded to. They have two solid safeties already in Jaquiski Tartt and Jimmy Ward, and although Jamal would be an upgrade to whichever one he would replace, I don't think the 49ers would want to do this trade for a few reasons. They are in talks with tight end George Kittle now about getting an extension, and Kittle, as we know, is a great player and arguably if not the best at his position. He deserves to be paid handsomely, and he will be soon enough. They also recently paid Arik Armstead and have already paid their quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo. They had a few great rookies in 2019 with Nick Bosa, who in a few years will need a hefty contract at what then could be more than $20 million per year, wide receiver Deebo Samuel, who first off let's hope he returns healthy from his foot injury, and assuming he does, could want more than $10 or $15 million per year, and linebacker Dre Greenlaw, who was very good down the stretch of the regular season and postseason, could want a contract as well. They also have linebacker Fred Warner, who will soon need a payday. Simply put, the 49ers got to the Super Bowl for a reason, and it was due in large part to great drafting and a lot of great players on rookie team-friendly contracts. They simply can't afford Jamal Adams down the road, and general manager John Lynch, I don't think at least, would be willing to sacrifice multiple big first-round picks for a safety when he's already solid at that position. They got to the Super Bowl last year and were a Patrick Mahomes comeback away from being champions, and while I could be wrong on this, I don't see them making a huge push for a player they simply don't need. If Jamal was a free agent and took a discount to win a ring, that would be one thing, but to trade two firsts because Joe Douglas, the Jets GM, knows the 49ers will be picking in the latter half of the first round, to me, won't happen. The 49ers have more pressing needs at the moment than a player who might or might not re-sign. If they had it in place that Jamal would sign a 3-year extension with all of the guarantees out of the way in the first 2 years of the deal, that would be one thing, but that's another discussion, and the point is, I don't think he will end up in the Bay Area. And next we will discuss the Seattle Seahawks and the likelihood Jamal goes there. The Seahawks, out of any team we have discussed so far, has the best odds because aside from Russell Wilson, Bobby Wagner, and Tyler Lockett, they don't have too many big contracts on their team. They could financially take this on, and with their draft history, it wouldn't be the worst thing to take some picks out of their hands. Their last 3 first-round picks have been Rashad Penny, LJ Collier, and Jordan Brooks, and although Brooks wasn't a bad pick, I don't think the value is there when they selected him ahead of linebacker Patrick Queen. Anyways, the Seahawks are in position to do this and are out of conference, which is something I'm sure the Jets are taking into consideration. There's no doubt they want to trade him out of conference and have to play him once every 4 years versus at maximum once a year. The Seahawks make the most sense out of anyone and are even on Jamal's list. Despite Bill O'Brien not getting good value with DeAndre Hopkins, we can at minimum say he was smart to trade him out of conference. I would imagine the Jets want to do this as well with Adams, and with Seattle's flexibility in this type of trade, they make a good option for Adams to be traded too. And the final team on Jamal's list is the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles, like the Seahawks, make a lot of sense because they are financially committed to a few players. Aside from Fletcher Cox, Carson Wentz, and Lane Johnson, they don't have a lot of ties and can financially support this if they need or choose to. Howie Roseman is 100% not afraid to pull the trigger when it comes to making trades, and we have seen that in the past, whether it be to trade Sam Bradford to the Vikings and have confidence in rookie Carson Wentz to start, or to trade a 3rd and a 5th round pick for corner Darius Slay. Howie Roseman will do what he can to win a championship, and if he thinks that is adding Jamal Adams to the roster, then he will do that. Jamal will more than likely be traded in the coming weeks, and whether it's to one of these teams or not, we will soon know. I would like to think teams like the Jaguars, who have plenty of draft capital after trading Jalen Ramsey, would be calling to inquire about what it would take to get Jamal, and even the Cardinals would too. The Cardinals fleeced the Texans, and although that won't happen with Jamal, they are out of conference and have proven they will trade picks if they think think it's worth it to try and win a championship. Adams and Isaiah Simmons would be a very fun duo. And that's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you're still watching, I appreciate the time out of your day. Also, if you would want me to change the intro, I have seen comments about that recently. Just let me know again, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.